I bought a $15 vintage wedding album at a thrift store. The bride in the photos is now my mother-in-law. I found the stunning vintage wedding album for $15 at Goodwill last year. When I showed my bride the beautiful photos, he went completely silent. The young bride smiling back at us was his mother on her first marriage, when she never told him about. Thrifting has always been my Saturday ritual. I love the treasure hunt aspect, imagining the stories behind abandoned items. When I spotted a cream leather-bound album with our wedding embossed in gold at my local Goodwill, I couldn't resist. The photos inside were best-ring. A young couple married in 1989, the bride in a classic lace gown with enormous puffy sleeves and that perfect 80s hair. The groom looked nervous but happy in a rented tux with an oversized bow tie. The reception was in someone's backyard, string lights hanging from trees, folding tables covered in floral tablecloths. I bought it immediately, thinking it would make perfect content for my vintage. Yet from an account, these abandoned wedding albums always get tons of engagements. People love imagining what happened to the couples. That evening, my bro Shadmar came over for dinner. We'd been dating for nearly a year and things were getting serious. His mom, Christine, was actually coming to visit the following weekend. Our first time meeting. Look what I found today, I said, pulling out the album. The bride's dress is amazing. Mark flipped through the first few pages, his expression changing from curiosity to shock. He stopped breathing for a second. Where did you get this? He asked, his voice strange. Goodwill on Madison? Why? He turned the album around and pointed to the bride. This is my mom. I laughed, thinking he was joking, but his face remained dead serious. That's not possible, I said. Your parents have been married for 35 years to each other. Yes. He kept flipping pages, his hands slightly shaking. But this isn't my dad. We spent the next hour examining every photo. The groom was definitely not Mark's father. The location wasn't anywhere he recognized. And strangest of all, his mom had never not once mentioned being married before. I don't understand, he kept saying. How could she never tell me? And Christine arrived the following weekend. I hid the album in my closet. Mark had decided not to mention it, wanting to process his feelings first. But midway through dinner, I noticed Christine looking at me strangely. Have we met before? She asked. You look so familiar. No, this is our first time meeting, I said, my heart racing. Later, while Mark was grabbing dessert from the kitchen, she leaned forward. I know this sounds strange, but do you shop at Goodwill on Madison? My stomach dropped. Sometimes. I donated some boxes there recently, she said, voice lowered. There was an album, a wedding album. Our eyes locked in understanding. Mark doesn't know, does he? I whispered. She shook her head, tears forming. It was a mistake. I was 19. It lasted 6 months. His father is the only man I've ever truly loved. The album was in my mother's attic for decades. When she died last month, I found it while clearing her house. I donated it without opening it. It was too painful. After Mark returned, I made an excuse to get something from my bedroom, grabbed the album, and slipped it to Christine in the hallway. Thank you, she whispered quickly, hiding it in her purse. I nodded, understanding completely. Some stories aren't ours to tell. Later that night, Christine pulled me aside again. You know I don't believe in coincidences, she said. Out of all the thrift stores in the city, you found my past and brought it back to me. Maybe it's the universe telling me it's time to be honest with my son. The next morning, she told Mark everything over breakfast, her brief first marriage, why she kept it secret, how seeing the album again made her realize secrets shouldn't exist between family. Mark was quiet at first, then asked questions, and eventually hugged his mom. 3 months later, Mark proposed to me at that same Goodwill store right in front of the home goods section where I found the album. You helped my mom free herself from a secret she carried for decades, he said, and you showed me that sometimes the most important connections in our lives happen through the strangest coincidences. When we announced our engagement, Christine handed me a small box. Inside was a delicate gold locket that had belonged to her grandmother. For my daughter, the note read, "Who found me when I didn't even know I was lost."